Welcome back. Welcome back. This is episode 41 of the We Are Everywhere podcast, and I'm very excited about today's guest. We are joined by Russell Snyder from Pool House Rocks on JEMP Radio, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, Russell, but the longest running show on JEMP Radio, is that correct?
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. Very proud of that. Very proud of that.
That's awesome, dude. It's cool to put a face to the name,
right?
Or the face to the voice, I should say, because it seems like, for me personally, JEMP Radio is one of those things where I've had it on my phone forever, and like typically, you know, I'm always the person, just like everybody else, that's like, oh, I want to listen to this right now. I want to listen to this right now, and so we go to Spotify or we go to Apple Music and we type in what we want to listen to, you know. And then every once in a while, I'll hit those, just like everybody, I'll hit those times where I'm like, I don't know what I want to listen to. And I'm like, JEMP Radio. And it seems like every time I turn on JEMP Radio, it's during your show, Pool House Rocks.
Saturday afternoons too, right?
Saturday afternoons, yeah. Yeah, so for the longest time, it was I was catching you while I was mowing. Because before, yeah.
That's what Ray says. He says, I am the soundtrack of the lawn mowing JEMP Radio community.
Dude, and it's perfect. It's perfect. You know, it's like every Saturday I would catch you, I'd be like, oh yeah, it's time to mow. It's time for Pool House Rocks. So,
see, I love that. I love that.
It's awesome. And I would always get so envious because I would be like, oh, Russell's cracking a beer right now. It's happy hour. And I'd be like, I'm out here sweating my ass off. And I told myself I couldn't have one until this is done. So let me hurry up.
Oh, you got to put limits and restraints on yourself sometimes.
That's right.
But yeah, absolutely.
Well, welcome to the show, man. I'm excited to have you on, and we were just talking before we started recording. You're a very busy guy. Your weekends are very precious to you, I know, and this is the first one you've had off in a while. So, thank you for carving out the time to spend it with me and share your story here.
Well, thanks for asking me to come on, man. Yeah, I work in the athletic department of a local university, so late August till a week ago, I am go. 12 months worth of work in about 9. So this time of year is Pool House Rocks fun time.
That's what's up. And are you in the pool house right now? Okay.
I am facing all my gear where this is right here is the bar in the pool house. I mean, you can kind of see it's a bit of a mess right now, but this is where
Gotcha.
I watch the Phish streams in the summertime. And then I put a big screen and PA system outside poolside for the summer shows that I can't get to. So
that's awesome. That's awesome.
But yeah, this is where I do my work, right here. Right as you see, I'm sitting, I'm cracking freshies, recording my stuff right where I'm sitting.
Yeah, that's what you say, cracking freshies.
Stole it from a buddy of mine. You know?
I love that, dude. I love that. Well, Russell, let's get right into it, man. As you know, the kind of the story of this show is your story. So how did you get into Phish? When was the first time you heard them? What hooked you?
Well, I have a buddy named Mike, and he just happens to be the guy who turns me on to a few. Like the first time he turned me on to band, he's like, "Hey, I heard this new band. They're called like 9.5-inch Spikes. You ought to check them out." I'm like, "Oh." So it took me a while to find the band he was talking about. So he also showed up at my apartment at the time with the Hoist cassette.
Okay.
And we listened to it, and I was really digging it. It was a lot different. I grew up a hip-hop kid. Like, I was a kid in the 80s who showed up at your house, dropped the cardboard, turned on the boombox, and challenged you to break dance.
For real?
I did. Absolutely. Absolutely. My right over there is about 130 cassette tapes that 90% of them are from the 80s hip-hop, early 90s hip-hop. Break dance, stuff like that. That's so entrenched in my blood. It's amazing.
But you do breakdancing, or you did breakdancing?
I'm 53 years old now, so breakdancing would put me in a damn hospital, man. They have to call the ambulance if I started breakdancing now. But it was a thing that, you know, when I was growing up, like the first Run DMC's Rock Box, that was a rap song with guitar over top of guitar licks, kind of like they did with Walk This Way, but before Walk This Way. And that kind of caught my attention because I listened to everything else I was on the radio, like all kids do when you're growing up. Mm-hmm. You know, Fleetwood Mac felt like I was in a station wagon on a Sunday and it was pouring down rain. You know, that's what Fleetwood Mac was to me back in the day. Yeah. But I heard stuff like that, and it kind of got me interested in what is this new hip-hop stuff. And, you know, back in the 80s, living in a small town in northwest Ohio, there wasn't a lot of that stuff accessible to you, so you had to go search it out. So when Phish came across my radar, it was a lot different than things I'd been listening to, but it was different enough to catch my attention. And in the background of all that, I had always liked jazz. So I had always had a thing in my mind that I loved songs that started somewhere, made you forget what the hell you were listening to, and then finally reminded you later on. So that improvisation stuff, and I heard Phish, I could kind of feel that in there, even on that Hoist album a little bit, that those guys could do that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So that's when I was like, okay, he left, took his tape with me. The next day I went out to the mall and to the Music Land store and bought my own copy of Hoist, and then that was like 96 probably.
Okay.
And I think that my first show, I believe, was 97 at Polaris Amphitheatre in Columbus.
Okay, cool. So you, like the second you got into it, you were like seeking it out and like, okay, I'm catching a show. There was no lag. That's awesome.
Well, I had a couple other buddies that were into it that I didn't really know. You know, I was just living in an apartment near the college campus here trying to get as many of the girls as I could. Didn't work out real well, but I tried really hard. But, you know, so dudes are doing their thing. I was doing my thing. I didn't know if some of my friends were into them. And all of a sudden they're coming to Polaris in Columbus, which back in the day was a lot of fun venue. You know, I'm sure you heard the stories about the storm that came through Polaris the one time, you know, that shut the show down. I was there at that show. I ended up spending the whole delay in the women's restroom, as a matter of fact. But,
in the women's restroom?
It was just everybody finding shelter. That's all it was.
Okay.
You know, being like me and like 10 chicks in a handicap stall just burning down the whole time. It was so much fun. And then the weather cleared up and the show was fantastic. But
that's awesome.
I had these friends that were into it, and you know they're coming to Polaris, and so we go down and check it out. And it doesn't, you know, as well as I do, especially in that time frame of the 97 stuff is just fantastic. So you go there the first time and you're checking it out, and you see the scene. You know, people are, you can get this, you can get that, and people are sharing this and sharing that, and you're up there in the lawn, and you know, and you're burning down and drinking drafts and just having a blast. I'm like, why am I not doing this all the damn time? Like stuff, you know. So the party was the magnet, but then the music was kind of like the glue that didn't let me leave, type thing. You know what I mean?
I see what you did there. Yeah. So I was just gonna ask, like, whenever you bought the ticket to the first show, and you said that was in '97. What show was that?
I believe it was 97 at Polaris Amphitheatre in Columbus, Ohio. I believe it was like July, June, something like that, if I remember correctly. Like I said,
Okay.
I could be off as well.
I always like to ask because after post podcast, like while I'm editing, I always like to turn on the person who I just had on.
Nice.
I like to turn on the first show to kind of like hear.
I will make sure I find it when we're done, and I'll email it to you to make sure we have the right one.
Okay, cool. So one of the things I wanted to ask was, so it's 96, you hear a cassette of Hoist, it tickles your fancy, you buy a ticket to the show. Are you going in cold to like, are you shocked by the scene? Are you
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. My concert experiences before that was stuff like the Big Daddy Kane Ain't No Half-Steppin' Tour. You know, Def Jeff, 3 times.
Big Daddy Kane.
Yes, Toledo Sports Arena, which isn't even a place anymore. My first concert was Beastie Boys' License to Ill tour. That was
You play a lot of Beastie Boys too.
Top 5 of me for ever. You know, Beastie Boys changed my life back in the day. I freaking love them.
That's one of the things I noticed about your show. I was like, dude, Russell loves the Beastie Boys.
I do, man. I do. I didn't see them as many times live as I wish I would have, but man, there's a big part of them that's part of me growing up that I can't get enough of still to this day.
They're great.
You know, they're great. So, you know, I had been going to like some hip hop shows, you know, some local shows up in Toledo and stuff. But I hadn't been to a scene with a lot. I didn't see the Dead. I listened to the Dead, but I never saw Jerry. It's one thing that breaks my heart. You know, at my age, I had plenty of chances to.
Yeah.
But again, I was saving my money for the Big Daddy Kane Ain't No Half-Steppin' tour. That didn't leave me money to go to Pittsburgh to see Jerry. You know what
That's
I mean?
still cool though. You see a Big Daddy Kane, like not a lot of people
Too
know.
Short?
Yeah.
I don't even know Too Short.
Yes,
Too
dude.
Short was fantastic. He just walked around with a mic rhyming. Another guy stood there with his hand on his crotch, the other hand doing this, and the bass just vibrated everything inside the building, and I just loved it. Oh, my God.
Yeah, dude. That's awesome.
Fantastic stuff. So then, you know, going to see a scene like that, like I said, just the fun me and my friends were having fun, everybody else was having. I'm like, this community is insane. This is great. I need to find out more about it. So then starting after that, basically any show at Polaris, Blossom, Deer Creek, you know, Alpine Valley was actually a thing back in the day. You could go see Phish too. And then, so basically that circle over to Pittsburgh, Star Lake a couple times, you know, basically that circle I saw probably 90% of those shows back in those days, you know.
Nice.
That's what I could afford to get to.
Yeah. The local Midwest shows. Like with
Yeah,
me,
everything within about 3-4 hour drive type thing.
yeah, 3-4 hour drive. Like you have to. It's
Why not?
Yeah, why not? Exactly. For me, like whenever I got into them, it was tough because I'm originally from Oklahoma, and that's it's Midwest, South, whatever you want to call it. But it's one of those areas to where it's like you're pretty, like no matter where they're playing, like you're pretty fucking far away. Like closest you get is like Colorado, so like you're having to travel. But that's cool. Like being kind of up in the eastern part of the Midwest, you had a lot of little areas
cool
you could
venues
hit.
Too.
Yeah,
I don't know if you've been
iconic
to
venues. Yeah, I've been to Star Lake, I've been to Deer Creek, Alpine, Blossom. I've been to those 4. I forgot what else you said.
What else did I say? Blossom, Polaris, Deer Creek, Alpine Valley. What was the one in Michigan? I just forgot the name of it.
Pine Knob.
Pine Knob. That was the other one. Yeah.
Been there.
Yeah.
Yep. So I've been to most of those.
Alpine Valley's a great show. Like I was at the Ruby Wave show at Alpine Valley, and you know how steep that slope is. Radio guy talk.
Yes.
You know, that 38-minute Ruby Waves, man, I probably almost fell down a couple times. That thing was so intense and so long. But I happened Alpine Valley through a friend in Chicago. I just met some of the greatest people that live in that area, and that's become a little. When I get a chance to go to Alpine Valley, I make sure I do because of the friends I've made that like live in the general area of the venue and stuff. So I have a soft spot in my heart for Alpine Valley.
Yeah, we were talking about Alpine. I was talking about Alpine Valley last week or last episode with Cam. Alpine Valley is one of those iconic venues. Like as even going back to the Dead with with Phish, and you got to, if you haven't been, you got to go to at least one show there for the experience because it's dead ass
there now too.
In the middle of nowhere, nothing around. But like whenever you walk up, I mean, and like you were saying, like it's a 45 degree. I mean, you got to do some leg workouts before you if you're doing lawn. It's brutal.
That's the first place I learned that the $15 chair that you can rent when you're on the lawn at Alpine is a fine investment.
Worth it, dude. Yeah, Alpine's great. You do got to be on your P's and Q's there, though, if you like to partake, because you can find yourself in some hot water.
That's the way like Blossom is, too. Blossom's actually a state park in Ohio, so if you're going to have a beer in the parking lot, you got to make sure you put it in a plastic cup or something. They'll come get you. But that's a great venue, too. That's one of the few venues where when you're under the shed, the sound, because of the wood overhead, the wood roofing and everything, the wood construction is just such a different sound than the lawn.
I love
great
Blossom.
time with both. Yeah, Blossom's just a lot of fun. A lot of room to roam around that place, too, if you need to walk around a little bit.
Yeah, stretch the legs, yeah.
Yep.
Cool. Okay, so I'm interested to hear your take on this because everyone's is different. We've got all of the iconic jams that you just mentioned one of them. You know, the Ruby Waves, Alpine, and then there's so many noteworthy jams that all of us heads know, right? Like you can rattle off a dozen of them. What is your favorite jam of all time? Talking Desert Island.
So hard.
It's an impossible question.
It is, and I think there's a lot of recency bias in a question like that too, because if I just listen to a great Maze from Magnaball, I freaking love it. I could listen to that all the darn time.
Were you at Magnaball?
No, I wasn't, but I was streaming it all right in here, and I remember they had like that surprise afternoon set. I was able to catch that, but like that Maze at Magnaball comes to my head early because I just love that jam so much. Golly. You start to think of shows that you went to and things like that. Wow. Like I went to one Baker's Dozen show. I was at the Strawberry Donuts one.
Okay.
That was a lot of fun. It was a friend of mine's first show. Oh gosh. That's so difficult, man.
It is. It's impossible.
Too early.
And that's why I don't make it. I leave the attendance bias lane to my buddy Brian.
Can I let that circle around a little bit?
Yeah. We'll come back to it, but just keep in mind that you don't have to be at the show. It can be literally any jam. I think that's where
your brain starts, though, sometimes, and those type of things. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
Okay. So with knowing your hip-hop roots, this might be an interesting question for you. Might get a oddball answer here. What's a song that you would like to hear Phish cover that they haven't covered already?
One song, for some reason, when Fare Thee Well, this is a hip-hop song, or is this any song?
No, this is any song that you want to hear
I always
Phish cover.
thought that when Fare Thee Well, when they did Alabama Getaway, I thought that would be a great Dead cover for Phish to add to their rotation for some reason. It's not a super long song. It's a song that really gets you moving, gets the blood flowing. But I always thought Alabama Getaway, Phish could have a lot of fun with that. And for some reason, I've always thought that. And, oh, gosh, there's so many, like Rock Box I mentioned by Run DMC. A song like that would be phenomenal to hear them play. But, man, I would start with Alabama Getaway for some reason. It just sticks with my head. And
it's kind of a Fishy song, right?
It kind of is, yeah. And when they did that Fare Thee Well, Fare Thee Well was one of my favorite things ever.
Were you there?
I went to the first show in Chicago.
Okay.
So if you remember when the ticketing started for that, it was a huge fiasco. You remember everybody got shut out. I think they didn't realize that kids were going to want to go see Trey play with these guys, and
right.
Whatever flooded. So I thought I wasn't going at all. So that's when my wife let me buy a 144-inch movie screen and a full PA system. So I was like, that's what we're doing for Fare Thee Well. We're going to do this.
Yeah.
Well, then I was able to get tickets to the first Fare Thee Well show in Chicago. And then me and my buddy Trent came back here, and all the rest of our crew that wasn't in Chicago was here. And we did as you do at a Dead show, and we did it all right here. And we had the time of our lives, and that's what I still use to this day for rocking out my poolside streamings. So
that's awesome, dude.
Yeah,
that's awesome. I remember, speaking of those shows, I didn't get to go, but a handful of my buddies went, and like you just mentioned, the ticket fiasco. Like some of them had tickets, some of them didn't, and I won't say his name because I don't know if he wants it out there. But one of my buddies got shut out for, I don't know if it was what show it was, but it was Saturday, I think. And he just had a 20 in his hand, pulled some old school move, found somebody who he thought, didn't care as much about their job as the other ticket people, walked up, they asked for the ticket, he handed him a 20 and kind of gave him a wink, and he was like, go ahead. And got him with the 20. Ice cold 20, dude, got in.
Oh, my Lord.
Cheaper than everybody. Yeah, gnarly.
That's inspiring.
It is. Because you can
That's
always
amazing.
You can always kind of
person.
You can see those people who are they're taking their job super serious, and then you always find that one guy that's like, fuck man, I really don't want to be here, and handing him a 20 is gonna make his day, and he's like, yeah,
for sure,
go ahead. As long as his boss isn't around. So
that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man,
Russell, how many Phish shows have you seen? Do you know your count?
I'm sitting right on 70.
70. Okay,
yes.
so you've so that your next one's going to be 71. Are you hitting any this summer?
I am going for sure to Columbus, Ohio, and Pittsburgh.
Okay.
And 50-50 right now on Chicago and Saratoga Springs.
Gotcha. Okay.
So,
let me know if you go to Chicago.
Are you going?
Yeah, I'm hitting Chicago. So I'm just a little north of you. I'm in West Michigan. So I'm literally Chicago's 2 hours away. So
all right.
Like we were just saying,
Chicago,
I have to.
There's a brewery there that sends me beers every once in a while for the show. They're called Hot Butcher for the World. And if I do Chicago, we're going to try to do something live for the show that Saturday afternoon at the brewery. So we're trying to work all that stuff out. I'm trying to get Andy Michaels to come too. So Andy, if you're watching, let's go. So
and we
had
had
get some JEMP folks to do at least a meet and greet, either do a live show or just a listening party and have some fun.
Dude, yeah, let me know 100%. Because that would be a blast. And I had Andy on a couple years ago.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So that's cool. It'd be nice to meet.
Yeah, I'll let you know for sure.
Person.
Hopefully, I'm gonna go. It just all depends on how, I got
life.
A 16-year-old daughter. Yeah, real life gets in the way sometimes.
Yeah, gets in the way of this Phish addiction we all have.
What am I supposed to do about it?
Okay, so sitting at 70 shows. Out of those 70. Is there a song that you've been chasing that you haven't seen yet?
Well, I was at Big Cypress, so you saw about everything that day. So there's
ran through.
If you've caught the new stuff since then, you pretty much have heard the catalog. So I'm not really chasing anything. I have some, I love seeing Nicholas live. That's so much damn fun.
Mm-hmm.
Just the weird stuff live. Like, I love the Buffalo Bill live. Just, shit like that that's just kind of corny, off the wall. Because usually, in my experience, when I do some of that fun stuff, they followed up with some serious jamming. And that kind of,
some heat.
I know it feels like something's coming after that. But I love the fun stuff. Just, the uniqueness things that, you can hear Tweezer at every other show if you want. And I don't mind hearing Tweezer at every other show. But it's cool when you get to hear something, you look at the set list that hasn't been played in 140 shows, Whatever that is, just keep feeding me those, and I don't have to chase them. Just keep feeding them to me.
The bust outs, yeah.
Yeah, right, that kind of stuff. Because, like I said, I mean, I probably have seen most of everything, and when I haven't, I probably listened to it 1,000 times at home. So, let's just give me a great show, and let's have some fun. Everybody leave. You guys and us, let's all leave with a smile on our face, and I'm happy with whatever happens.
I like that. And I talk about that with my buddies all the time. Like, it's easy to get, especially with someone like you who has seen them in their I'm reluctant to even use this word, but their prime, right? Because each era, their
prime of their youth.
There you go. That's a better way to say it. Prime of their youth. It's easy to get on that jaded side of things, to where Trey doesn't have the same chops, or they don't do this anymore, they don't do that anymore. It's easy to go down that road, so it's refreshing to always hear, whenever I have people on here who are like, yeah, man, just give me whatever you're playing, and I'm here to have a good time and happily lap it up.
That energy through the speakers, I'm a sponge for it. Let's go, bring it to me.
That's what I'm talking about. It is refreshing. It is refreshing because we can get in our own little bubbles,
I don't like that stuff either. It's silly. Like the Dead and Phish fighting thing, the all that kind of crap. I think is so silly. And I am 100% not a Phish nerd. My stats I know is I've been to 70 shows. That's it. Everything else, 1.0, 2.0, I don't care about any of that stuff myself, man. I love the stuff I got in my catalog is from the 80s, as well as I love the stuff I got from 2025. So I don't care about any other nonsense myself, man. It's all good to me.
I love that. I love that approach. And it's funny that you bring up the 1.0, 2.0 thing. So we were literally driving in the car yesterday on the way back from the beach, and we were listening to Phish. And my girlfriend asked me, she was like, now what's the difference between like the 1.0, 2.0 again? Like she was asking me the difference, and I was like telling her, okay, they broke up the first time, everything before that was 1.0 then. And she was like, so what's the 4.0 thing I keep hearing about? And I was like, it's debated, because everybody's saying that, post-COVID is 4.0, right? But I would disagree with that, because the band themselves didn't make a decision to break up. That decision was made for them, right? And they didn't break up. They just had to stop because the world stopped. Mm-hmm. So it feels kind of gimmicky, I guess, to call it 4.0. But like you just said, at the end of the day, does it matter? 3.0, 4.0? You can call it 17.0 for all I give a shit.
I don't give a shit at all.
As long as they're playing.
Right. I'm probably a 1.5, I guess. I got to call it a 1.4, something like that. I mean, who cares about that nonsense? Who cares about it? Just keep rocking me out. Give me something to dance to, something to party with. I'm ready to rock and roll, baby. I don't care about that other nonsense.
Dude, I love it. I love it so much. But I'm like I'm like yin yang with that, because part of me loves to nerd out on stats and stuff, even though I can't remember shit. Like my friends will tell you, like they'll be asking me about shows, or they'll be like, "Hey, you remember this?" And I'm like, "Oh, was that at Blossom?" And they're like, "Dude, that was at the one time they played in Oklahoma City. Like, how do you not remember this?" And I'm like, "Dude, I don't know. Everything's just kind of floating around up here." But I love to nerd out on stats and things like that as well. But another side of me is kind of like what you're saying. It's just fucking play the music and let me soak it up, and I'm here to have fun,
keep it organic. My life is music on random. I mean, I've been working professionally in radio since '99, so sitting in a radio station at work, it's music on random. When I'm trying to pick out my songs for JEMP, I put my music on random, and then I keep a notebook right here where I write down shows and stuff like that. There's show notes coming up in a couple of weeks. So I just have my music on random, and when I'm building shows, and I write down, this is a good one, they'll like this, and I write it down and make those hours fit. And that's I love that organic part of it. That's a lot of times how some of the weird hip hop shit ends up in my show. It'll pop up on my random thing, and like, I haven't heard that in like 10 years.
You're like, I gotta throw it on.
Hell yes, that's going on. So I love the organic side of And like I said, it's because when I was a kid, I used to do my own Casey Kasem Top 40. I would record songs off the radio, put them on cassettes in order, and then put my boombox speakers in the window so my neighbors could hear it. And I do my own Casey Kasem. So life with random music has been a part of me forever. So hearing an 86 jam followed by a 2025, then a Trey at the Beacon, all of it molds well with me. I don't care. Bring it. Bring the other jam bands in too. Mix it all up together, and that's just how my life works, man.
I love it, dude. Having an eclectic music taste is one of the things that it sounds like you pride yourself on, and I pride myself on too as well. Because I can literally go from anything in the jam band space, whether it's Phish, Dead, Billy Strings, any of the other new up-and-comers, whoever. I was sitting on the beach yesterday and had JEMP Radio playing and heard a jam going, and I was like, dude, this is fucking great. And I was like, I know it's not Phish, I know it's not Humphreys, I know it's not the Dead. I was like, who is this? So I look, and it was Spafford, and I had heard
Nice.
I had heard that name. Like, I know the name Spafford, I know the name Eggy, I know all these names of these like up and comer jam bands. But if you were to play something and be like, who is this? I'd be like, I have no fucking idea. But dude, I don't even remember the name of the song. But I was like, oh, okay. I was like, Spafford kind of fucks. I was like, whatever they're playing right now, like, this is fucking dope.
I was like, my first introduction to Spafford was them covering Echoes, and Pink Floyd's Echoes to me is rock and roll for me. Give me 27-minute Echoes. It's it's got slow, it gets big. I mean, I love everything about it. And then I heard Spafford playing it, saw like a video or something being shared online, so I sat down and watched it. I'm like, well, I got to learn more about these guys now.
Dude, it's almost like, it's not that I shun other jam bands, because that's not it at all. I mean, like, just like what I was saying about Spafford, had never heard anything from them, but knew the name, knew that they were a jam band in the scene. But just like the time that it takes to like obviously, like, I'm obsessed with Phish, and then like you have the Dead on top of that. That in itself will keep you busy for 2 lifetimes.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
My gosh.
So it's like, how do you like, and then like I throw in a little bit of Humphreys, and then it's like, okay, I'm overwhelmed. Like, I don't even know. It's so like just adding more and more on top. It's like, that's why going back to like the beginning of how we were talking about, when I throw on JEMP, it's nice to like just get like someone else pick for me,
Right. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Throw me some heat. Like, let me soak
and Andy
it up.
do a great job with the music, with their their programming and everything. They do a great job.
Absolutely, and you as well with Pool House Rocks, man. I mean, it's nice.
It's fun. It's different. Well, we're the start of your weekend party, right? We're the weekend happy hour to get your weekend going. So that's what we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be high energy, a lot of fun, and who knows what's coming next type situation.
Who knows? Oh, I wanted to ask you this.
Yes.
With you being a huge Beastie Boys fan, how shook were you the first time that you realized Phish covers some Beastie Boys songs? Like, whenever you like heard Sabotage, what happened?
I think my first introduction to Sabotage may have been Hampton Comes Alive, right?
Okay. Let me see.
I'm trying to think. Because I remember when we drove down to Big Cypress, we basically took Hampton Comes Alive and Macy Gray's album that had just come out, and that was our soundtrack for riding down there and back. And I just remember, once hearing them play it the first time, then search it out, give me more of that for sure. I love everything about. I mean, Sabotage, what a great vehicle for somebody to jam out and have a total blast with if you're Phish, right?
Dude.
I mean, it's just fun for them, just nothing but fun. So give me more. Give me more. Cover it. I would love to see him do a Beastie Boys album on a Halloween show. That'd be great.
Dude, and they would murder it in the best way.
Oh my gosh.
So
it would be
good.
phenomenal.
They've already
So
proven
if you're
they
listening,
can do it.
guys, there you go.
There
From
you
Russ
go.
to you.
One of the things I like to ask here, any of your family into Phish as well, or are you kind of like on your own island as far as like immediate family?
Long story short, I lost my wife in December.
Sorry to hear
And
that.
Thank you. She was a Jerry girl. She loved everything about the Dead. Was ho-hum on Phish when we met. Trust me, she got her ears full, and she ended up becoming a pretty good fan. So I had her to go. Her and I probably went to about 20 shows together, I would say, maybe 25. We were married for 20 years. My son has been to one Phish show, not by choice. He was going into it was right after going into his senior year of high school. He was a high school baseball pitcher. And we were at this scouting camp, and it got done earlier than we thought. And Phish was playing Blossom that night. So I was like, bud, we can make it. And away we went, and he went to his first Phish show that night. And then my daughter doesn't mind it. She's 16. So she's into, who knows what a 16-year-old girl's into. But she hates Mercury. Because I'll walk up to her and be like, hey, I learned something new today. I'll be like, the net's not breakable, things like that. And it drives her up a wall. It just drives her up a wall. So whenever I hear Mercury, I play it real loud for her, and she doesn't care for it. But 90% of my friend groups they're fully on board.
Gotcha.
They're fully on board. My wife's best friend is the most anti-Phish person you've ever met in your life. If there's music and it doesn't have Jerry Garcia's name on it, she doesn't want a thing to do with it.
Oh, okay.
But all my other friends, all over it. We have a lot of good time. We usually get a good group of, 12, 15 to go to the shows together, things like that. So
nice.
Husbands and wives, the kids will be coming along with them as we work our way through it too. So
okay, yeah. Gotcha. So you're pretty much surrounded with
yes.
Gotcha. I was asking because one of the questions I like to ask to kind of get a grasp on like where people's brains are at, and it's different with each person. Like if you were going to try to, like if it was your daughter, for example, if you're going to try to like win her over to become a fan of Phish, obviously it's not going to be Mercury, but if you're going to try to win her over, what are you going to play to try to like pique her interest?
I'll throw a mix together of JEMP vocal jams and Fuck Your Face probably. And we'll see if that works for her. If that doesn't work for her, then, I actually kind of had this conversation. Long story short, the president of our university has certain people over for his breakfast, and we have to talk about things that other people don't know about us. And I was like, yeah, well, I've seen this band 70 times, never heard of them. And our women's basketball coach opened his phone. He's like, oh, okay, tell me give me a song. So I had to pick a song for them to listen to.
Farmhouse.
So, like, right, there you go. NO2, check that out. You'll love it. Yeah. So, I mean, I told him to check out Sample in a Jar and Bouncing Around the Room. Harmless songs that at least could pique interest a little bit. Nobody's going to be offended by either one of those songs. So I figured I'd start with something like that. If Phish had like a greatest hits album, it'd be easy to turn people on to them. That's what I always tell people. If you hear a song on the radio and you like it, check out their greatest hits album. Listen to that, pick out your favorite song, then go get that album that song was on to begin with.
Yeah.
It's a great way to introduce yourself to new bands, I think.
It really
we don't
is.
have that in the Phish community. But yeah, go get the greatest hits, pick out your favorite song, and then find the album that song was on. Check that out, and you'll probably freaking fall in love with it. This is my philosophy. But I kind of lost train of what I was talking about.
No, you're good. To bring it back, you were showing your coworkers.
Phish.
So
those are the songs I picked, and I figured that those are probably pretty safe songs. Sample and Bouncin', and Bouncin', I think, was a song that got a lot of people into Phish to begin with back in the 90s.
Could be.
The first times they heard Bouncing Around the Room, I think that sparked a lot of people's interest.
Bouncing's an easy listen. That's something you could sneak into, like if you're anywhere and you sneak that into a playlist. I don't think a lot of people are going to whip their head around and be like, what the fuck is this?
Right,
Same with Sample. It's easy to slip in and like maybe someone hears it and is like, what is that? I never heard that before.
And the vocals are nice and clean on both songs too. The guitar has a little bit of some jamming and sample and stuff. So I think those would be good ones to introduce folks to. Not the JEMP vocal Fuck Your Face mix.
Dude, even now to like this, like I try to, like what we were talking about earlier, I try to like take everything organically, but like even the vocal jams now.
I watched your episode recently where you were talking about it.
I can't, man. It's like
hard.
When
you're there, it's fine. But if you're just sitting at home listening to some tunes, and all of a sudden, hee, hoo, ha, ha. I mean, it's hard to just, check this out, man. Let's get a fresh beer and rock out to this.
Same thing with like even like with the Grateful Dead, to keep it fair, like with drums in space. Never been like, it's like I get
so
it.
So many CDs that I dubbed over into digital of Dead, a lot of them I cut out the drums in space.
I mean, it's cool, like you said, if you're there, but like, God, it's.
Well, like I told you too, I'm searching for music for JEMP Radio. So, I got the random plan. I'm outside working on the pool, and all of a sudden here comes a 25-minute drums.
Like,
that doesn't give me a whole lot of good. Yeah. Turn this shit off. Go in there. Next.
Getting the neighbors all pissed
command.
off.
I'm lucky out here, man, because I am loud. I am very loud. This normal stereo system is very loud. The PA system gets loud. And then to my left, right over here, is it's called Copper Mare Ranch. It's a horse facility. And their PA system I can hear in my kitchen. So
Damn.
I have some, PA horns I'm mounting over here, and I'm going to put a mix together of Yem vocal jams.
For the horses.
The worst songs you could think of about horses. And I'm just going to, whenever I can hear their shit, I'm going to blast them. It's going to be an audio war that I guarantee I'm going to win.
That's funny, dude. Dude, Speaking of speakers, it sounds like you're kind of like an audiophile. You see this one right here?
I do.
I've got another one. I've got its counterpart right over here. And, dude, I found those. Those are a new addition. I found those at Goodwill a month ago.
Finds.
Dude, and I was eyeing them. It was me and this other guy. I was looking at him, then he was looking at him. And they were $20 a piece. And with them being Goodwill, it's like, okay, do they work? Do they not? And I was like, I'll gamble $40 on it. Because I pulled them up on eBay. They're Pioneer speakers.
I thought they looked like Pioneers.
Yeah, I pulled them up on eBay, and some of them sold that are that exact model for $200, $300. And I was like,
awesome.
I was like, I'll gamble $40 on them, dude.
Yeah.
Brought them home. I have a little shitty receiver, I mean, it does its job. It's Bluetooth. I can play records through it and stuff. It gets loud as fuck. I plugged them in. They work, and dude, they fucking rock. They're badass, dude. One of the best finds I've ever found, to be honest.
I got some friends who are just Pioneer heads, and everything they get is Pioneer, and their shit always sounds good, man. I got my vintage stuff inside. I got an old Marantz, an old Sansui record player.
Oh, nice.
And all my records inside. I have, a mixing table with a couple turntables. I got a new, just got one of these guys.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Just got one of those in the last couple of weeks. I got to learn to use yet.
What are all these knobs? Yeah.
Right. But, there used to be a place in Tiffin, Ohio, where I'm at that made Venturi speakers. You ever heard of those? Venturi?
I think so.
A lot of times it's BIC Venturi, but I have a pair of those in here that my dad bought from the factory in probably 1982. And I have those hooked up with a set of Bose 301s from Series 2, late 70s.
I have seen these.
In here. Yeah.
I have seen these, yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of those were manufactured in my hometown. So you local folks could go in there and buy them on pennies on the dollar. So everybody around here had Venturi speakers back in the day, and I just happen to have a pair of my dad's. I have 10s in them that are still love them.
Nice.
And I got a Behringer PA system I put up. When we put the full PA system outside this will give you an idea of how loud I can be out here. There's 6 12s and 2 15s.
Damn.
Out. That's on the patio poolside when we're doing the full shows. Then we put a full light show out in the woods and stuff. It's anybody want to come around, man? I'm just Northwest Ohio.
Hear him for miles.
I got 3 acres here of yard, so we got plenty of room for people to camp and stuff. Anybody wants to come for summer tour shows, for real? Pool House Rocks at JEMPradio.com or around.
Dude, that's you sound like you could have with your setup. We could almost
have a mini festival here.
You could have a little Amy's Farm situation going on.
We totally could.
That's
cool. I'll send you a link when we're done too. I have to tell you, you won't understand unless I tell you. But Pool House Rock started with a place called Buckeye Music Magazine, and in 2011 we started a website and a radio station. Me and 2 guys from Middletown, Ohio. One guy had been recording bands. He's like, you ever heard of the Works?
Band?
Yeah, WERKS.
I don't think so.
Well, they're an Ohio band, blah, 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 blah. But they had a festival in 2011. Dark Star Orchestra played there, all kinds of cool bands. Guys from String Cheese were there. And I was given a soundboard feed to broadcast on a low-band FM signal around it, like the Bunny does.
Nice.
But I did it for the work. So I had a soundboard feed, which meant I split the feed into my broadcast and one into my recording device, and I recorded everything that was on this. That was the first time that Dark Star Orchestra played as Jerry Band because the Bobby guy couldn't be there. So I have a recording of the first time Dark Star played as Jerry Band, and my recording is pretty fun.
That's cool.
We decided to start that website, radio station, all that back then. So. Long story short, one of the guys got sick, and he ended up passing away. Buckeye Music Magazine went away, and I had just heard of JEMP Radio. JEMP Radio had been around for a month. And so I got a hold of Race, and I was like, hey, I do this, this, and this. I normally Tuesday nights, 9 to midnight, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, slow down. Send me a demo. So I sent him a demo, and then he put me on in 2014. So now I lost track again of how I was going with this.
Dude, you're just like me. You're just You're okay. We were talking about having a Amy's Farm situation, and then you were telling me.
So the video I will send you, it was a promotional video to try to get the guys that have Buckeye Music Magazine, the festival here.
Okay.
So you'll get the gist. Now you're in Western Michigan?
Yep.
I have a friend from Chicago who's the reason I have these great friends outside of Alpine Valley that lives in Western Michigan.
Okay.
Close to Chicago. He inherited his parents' farm that used to be a hippie travel spot where they would come, stay, work the farm for a couple of weeks while they were traveling on West Coast, East Coast. There's old school buses that have been left there that become part of the landscape. And he's possibility of a festival host type place. Plenty of room, acres, fields. And I bet it's got to be, at most, it can't be more than 2 hours away from you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Probably even closer than that. So if that were to happen, if we were able to get something like that going, it'd probably either be here or at Mike's place in Western Michigan.
Dude,
so
that's awesome. I'm down either way. Obviously, it's going to be easier if it's Western Michigan for me, but that's cool.
Where I'm at, I'm a 5-hour drive to Chicago.
Okay,
5
5
hours to Detroit, 5 hours to Chicago.
Okay, so that's crazy because I'm about 2 hours to Detroit, and then I'm also about 2 hours to Chicago. So I'm just east of Grand Rapids. I'm in a little town called Holland. It's not too little, but it's good. Yeah.
We used to the school I worked for. We were in a conference with Grand Valley State, so I've been up.
Okay.
I've been up to Allendale. I've been to Davenport University. I've been to Grand Valley. I've been up to all that area. A ton.
Gotcha. Yeah. So is your buddy's spot close to Holland, or is he more up north? Or
I think it's closer. It's close to the lake.
Okay.
On the west side. I don't know exactly where. I haven't been there. I just know that he's out there renovating, and he just put out some new stuff about it. And I'll share a link to him with you as well. And you'll be able to know what I'm talking about.
Maybe I can poke around and see if I've.
And he's a great musician. I don't know if you've heard the Fire on the Meat Stick that we play. Long story short, this guy, Martyrs in Chicago, COVID was about to shut the place down. It's one of the great jam scenes in Chicago history. So him and his colleagues put together, they called it Shakedown for Martyrs. They covered Shakedown Street, and all the proceeds went to save that arena,
cool.
that bar. So one of the songs, Fire on the Mountain and Meat Stick, are the same corporate. It's all the same thing. So they recorded it as Fire on the Meat Stick. So it's Fire on the Mountain, Meat Stick to finish it. And it's really, really cool. So this is the guy who has that land. He's been his band's called K9, K-N-E-I-N.
Okay.
And this guy's a Chicago musician. He's a bad man, and just a really cool dude. Just really cool dude. And so he would be down for doing something like that. I know it.
That's cool.
Yeah, and it can't be that far from you. Can't be.
Dude, I wish I had some land like that because it's so, why would you not want to do something like that?
Right. Oh, it's so, if this place is as cool as it looks and the way he describes it, like I said, all these hippies, and his parents were both college professors. The hippies would come through on their way back to the West Coast after the East Coast run. They'd stop at his place. They would work there, work the farm for 5-6 days, get meals and a place to stay, then head on down the road. It was just a circulating thing.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. And that's one of the things I feel like I missed out on, with just being born too late, I guess. I was born in 90. So, obviously,
I graduated high school in 89.
So, obviously, I'm not, just right off the rip, I'm not seeing Jerry live, right? I'm not seeing any of the 1.0 shows, all the things that I'm obsessed with, right? Just the hand I was dealt. Not that it's shitty, it's just what it is. But
Right.
I romanticize like going on tour like that, like in the 90s, and like and not having like, smartphones, and like you're like looking at maps and shit, and like
Well, even we were lucky to be able to print out MapQuest.
MapQuest.
Yeah. Before that, it was going to AAA and getting a triptych, and they would highlight your route. You could go to AAA and get a triptych, which was like an accordion map that would have your highlighted route, so you could have it in your vehicle, like to look at it. So yeah, there was. Otherwise, it was just, I think we go west.
That's good. Takes you. It's in reality, the route is like a 12-hour route, but it takes you 7 days. So you're just like, we're supposed to be headed west. Then you hit water, and you're like, I think we went too far.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, we're in Montana. We're supposed to be in Wisconsin.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Dude, that's fun. That's fun, though. I romanticize that, but also, like, knowing where I'm at now, like, it also sounds exhausting. It's like, I'm so grateful I can just, like, put in, or, like, even, I don't even have to put in anything. I can just say, hey, phone, take me to Alpine Valley. And it's like, boop, here you go.
Yep.
It's crazy. I love technology, but I romanticize.
Car will be able to drive you. You can just sit back and relax.
Plug it in, dude. Do Teslas do that right now, or am I tripping?
I don't know.
I don't either.
I don't know. I drive a 1999 Acura, man.
Let's go, dude.
I do. It's got a working cassette player, and it's got LL Cool J in the deck right now.
That's what's up, man. Did you? Oh. Speaking, going back to like the hip hop stuff. What were your thoughts? I think it was 2003, whenever Jay-Z popped on with him and did Big Pimpin' and 99 Problems.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. And 99 Problems would be a great, what a fun song to play. You don't have to worry about the vocals. You can just get out there and just kind of pissed off rock it.
Yeah, rip it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder what would be like the best hip hop album that Phish could cover. Like, obviously, like an easy route because of like the instruments and stuff.
I thought you were going to say obviously Eazy-E.
No, no. I was saying like an easy route would be like Beastie Boys or something like that.
It would almost have to be something like that, because I don't know if there's enough of the fan base that would be familiar enough with, especially if you're going to go classic hip hop.
Yeah.
You'd almost be better off trying to cover like a full Bob Marley album or something.
Yeah.
Cool too.
And also like,
but I think Beastie Boys would be probably the first route to go if you're going to do a hip hop album.
100%. And then also like you also like have to think about like lyrics. Like there's like you have to be very conscious of that, like because none of them can rap, and then none of them can say half the words that are in a lot of rap songs. Right.
No, we don't. They ain't coming out and doing "Bitch Better Have My Money." I can tell you that.
Can you imagine?
No.
Trey.
Some of the stuff I got, it ain't for a lot of people's ears, man. And I can't imagine Phish going on stage and spitting out them lyrics. It'd be crazy.
Dude, it's fucking, that would be crazy. Getting back to like hearing part of your story, one of the things I like to hear, and we've already covered some of it, but like crazy stories from tour. Like you've been seeing them since '97. We know that it was in a lot of the earlier days also. So like, what are some of those, obviously like stories that you're comfortable, with putting out there and sharing? Like, what are some things that like come to mind? It could be at a show, on the way to a show, getting ready for a show, on lot. What are some crazy stories that come to mind?
Well, luckily, we had never had, knock on wood, never had much road trouble. Like most of my going into shows, not even a lot of like searches and things of the vehicles and stuff going into shows, knock on wood, like I said. So I don't have a lot of those stories, thank goodness.
Good.
But like I can remember being at, a lot of, when I first started going to shows, people from my area would come down to the shows with me because that was the only place to get good bud. Around here you just be buying some cheap ass shit weed that's the only thing you get your hands on. So they go to Phish shows. Once they see what we would come home with from the shows, they're like, I'm going with you now. So they would come down and they would just party in the parking lots and buy as much weed as they could off of anybody and everybody. Mm-hmm. Me and my buddy Johnny were doing the same thing. We were going to show them. We were talking to a guy about something, and I got money out. He's doing his thing, And this guy comes up and puts his hand on his shoulder and was like, "Come with me, you're under arrest." Oh. And he dropped his bag. I dropped my money and my IDs and stuff. I scooped that up. My buddy Johnny scooped the bag up, and poof, we was gone. And I think it was a friend of his messing with him because we saw him walking around looking for somebody. We went back to our car and changed clothes, put different hats on and stuff.
Right. In disguise.
We saw him walking around. It looked like he was looking for somebody. And we didn't mean to do that, but we thought he was going to jail. And
damn.
We didn't want the cops to take that with him, too, so we scooped it up. And then the girl I was seeing at the time, she's about 4 foot tall, and I'm 6'5". And so she's like, Ross, over here. And I'm like, get to the car.
I don't know this bitch. Shut up.
Yeah, what are you talking about, girl? Damn. So that was a pretty crazy one, man.
That is crazy.
At Big Cypress.
Oh, yeah. You've got to have some stories for Big Cypress.
This one still haunts me. I had the most liquid acid of my life at Big Cypress.
Oh, my God.
I was sitting – well, first off, the night we got there wasn't a lot of people. Everybody and their brother was looking for grass, and there was a lot of people with it.
Really?
And, yeah, when I first got there and we saw this person walking down this bud about this big, and everybody was like, vroom. And, yeah.
It's so like $500, supply and demand.
They had a tent set up, and this is 99 going to 2000. So they had a tent set up, and they had a girl in there with this tarp down. It was just covered in, beautiful weed. And they were selling $60 eights in 99. That's half my freaking budget for the entire trip back then. So they said, like, we need more baggies. And I was close enough. I went and got a box of baggies and gave it to them. They gave me a bud that covered my palm for it. And then I was like, don't make me get in line. Hook me up now. So then that night I'm chasing this chick and trying to hook up with her. I was smoking like all of our good weed. All of my friends were chilling, like trying to get this girl. Didn't work. Drank all her good beer, left all the crap beer for everybody else. And then the next day I'm sitting in my tent, and my buddy Lucas, who was with us, he's like, open the tent up. He's like, you want to have some fun? I'm like, sure. He pops his head out. This other guy pops in. He goes, open your mouth. And he takes his vial, and boom, boom. Then the vial goes right across my lip as he's taking it away.
Oh.
And so I don't know how much I got. So
could be 10, could be 20. Who knows?
At minimum, it was like 4. I would
Okay.
say. That's on the light side, but more than likely it was probably in that 8 to 15 range.
Jesus.
And so I'm at that all-night set, and I took a notebook. I still have it like this, and I was like a high school girl. Everybody was signing it. Just write something in here, man. Just write something in here.
That's cool, though.
I have it. I still look through it all the time. It's a great memory. So I was kneeled down talking to somebody, and I stood up, and I started backpedaling. I couldn't stop.
Oh, God.
And I'd backpedal until I fall flat on my back in a circle of people. And this guy looked at me and goes, dude, learn how to handle your shit. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, dude.
I was better after a little bit, but he was like, dude, learn how to handle your shit. You're right. You were right. It brought me back a little bit. I was able to enjoy the rest of the night until I started falling asleep on my feet at 6 in the morning while they were still playing.
And you're like, God.
Yeah. Ended up finishing the show and the trip in the tent, but that was a crazy experience. And having that person say that to me changed my world a little bit.
But you have to. It's almost like people. I always say you can always tell like adults that had never been punched in the mouth as a kid. Like if you've never like gotten your ass kicked, like you can tell. Like you see those people walking around all the time. You can tell if someone's never been beat up.
I agree with that.
Right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing with like if you've never like lost your shit, like being under the influence of whatever it is, and had someone tell you like, "Hey man, fucking lock in." Like
Right.
Like, get your shit together. Like, that's one of those things that's kind of like being punched in the mouth. Like, you have to have that experience to know, like, yeah, like, I need to learn how to rein it in. I need to know. Maybe I had too much too fast.
Too much. Russ had too much tonight. Too much.
It's almost like a rite of passage.
That was an interesting story, yeah.
I love that.
But one of the great things about now with doing JEMP Radio, man, is when I go to the shows now, I run into so many people that just are into Pool House Rocks and shit, and they just want to say hi, and people want to buy me beers because I'm cracking freshies on the show. So that experience since JEMP Radio has started, the experience of going to shows has changed. Because,
Yeah.
a lot of people get excited to see me, and it wasn't always like that.
Yeah.
So I like that. I like
like
that
a celebrity.
Cool.
Yeah.
A guy you want to have a little party with if you get a chance. I'll call it that.
Yeah, man. And you do. You have that that magnetism. And it might just be something in your voice that draws people in because, I felt like, after all the times mowing the yard and like listening to you, like hearing your voice, I was like, this dude, he's cool, man. Like I do want to crack a freshie with Russ, man.
That's the whole point.
That's why I wanted to reach out. Yeah, that's why I wanted to reach out
point, man.
And get you on. And I'm glad that I got to hear your story. I'm glad that I got to know you a little bit here, and I'm excited. I hope it works out to where we can link up in Chicago.
That'd be great, man.
Because I would love to meet up and get to meet you in real life, and then catch a show with you, man. And thank you. Like I know we're right at an hour here, and I just want to say thank you again. I know your weekends are sparse. You've got your family, and thank you so much for taking the time to hop on and talk shit and talk Phish for an hour. And it's been a pleasure to have you on. And people, we've already talked about Pool House Rocks and JEMP Radio, but once again, tell people where they can listen, where they can find you, everything.
Email address is poolhouserocks@jempradio.com. We're live, or not live, brand new every Saturday, 2 to 4 p.m. in the Eastern Time Zone. Re-rocked on Thursday mornings from 10 to noon. I coined that re-rock phrase. I love it. Also Eastern Time Zone timer as well. But you can find me on all your favorite social media platforms. But just, it's real easy to reach out. Message me that way or poolhouserocks@jempradio.com. I'd love to hear from you. One of my favorite things is hearing from the listeners. If it wasn't for JEMP Radio and the opportunity that Race and those guys gave me, I wouldn't be here talking to you right now probably. I'd just be some idiot you might have passed in the men's room at a show.
Or some guy that was backpedaling at Big Cypress. You never know.
Yeah. Hopefully somebody's listening like, holy shit.
That was that guy.
Oh, my God. I remember that guy. He was a freaking idiot. Yeah.
Dude, and honestly, it wouldn't surprise me. One of us gets an email, and it's like, yo, I was in that group of people. I was the guy that told Russ to get his shit together. It wouldn't surprise me.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Thank you very much.
That was your rite of passage there.
Yeah,
but once again,
my friend.
Thank you so much, Russell. I'm going to stop the recording, but hang out for a second.
Gotcha, man. Thank you.